Yes, one of our most beloved Western sci-fi series, Trigun. That's not Trigun. Let me try this again. One of our most beloved Western sci-fi shows, Trigun, is getting another anime adaptation. That is so crazy. I just when I seen this announcement, I'm like, okay, it pretty much was these two big announcements. Orange make an announcement, they were doing a countdown, then you had this teaser for something Trigun related, and just so happens they were in sync. Orange was fooling us the whole time, and they decided to do something else on the side along with it. But yes, big hype now. Trigun, probably one of the most beloved franchise for many people's childhood. I mean, I grew up watching a lot of Trigun on television. It was a lot of fun at the time. Really goofy main character, Vash the Stampede. A crazy guy with huge, gigantic cross as a gun. It's a wild show. It was always a wild show. It was essentially, again, pretty much Wild West meets sci-fi. It was really, really cool. Now, there's a few things in this announcement. I guess to get the rest of the announcement out of here, we have a few things here. Yes, Studio Orange is working on it. It's called Trigun Stampede. They've already announced that it's going to be slated for 2023, so right next year. Crunchyroll has already announced that they have picked it up for streaming. Additionally, they already talked about the fact that they will be at Anime Expo 2022, so more information will be there. But there's a couple of additional things that are going to be bringing up a lot of question marks. One specific thing is that a lot of the announcements, especially from Orange themselves, is around the idea that this will be an original. This is going to be an original. Now, typically whenever studios and producers and stuff, when they announce something as original, that means it doesn't have a source that it's based off of. Now, they could be using the word original here differently. I can concede to that. That could be a possibility, but most, like 99.99% of the time, whenever they say original, that means that they don't have any source they're going to have a scriptwriter that's going to write the story out, which means this is probably not going to be based on the manga itself or the source material itself. Now, again, they could be using the word original for the sake of the fact they're doing 3D CG, which is the other big question mark this whole thing is creating. But that's the curious thing for me, honestly. That is the big curious thing for me, really, is what story are they going to be telling here? What is this story they're going for? Are they going to just take basically the characters and do some sort of side story? Most people know that the original series, when it was animated, it sort of had the same issue that Fullmetal Alchemist did, where they got caught up with the manga and they kind of just did an original story. It was a really interesting story, and I was very curious because it basically opened up things a lot. The moment that it gets to the later parts of Trigun, you start having question marks like, wait, so this is a much bigger deal going on here than just a guy walking around the streets and getting shot at. I mean, this is something completely different. But it begs the question. It honestly does really beg the question. Maybe them going with the original idea is just that they want to say that most people know the anime, and we're going to branch off from that. We're going to do the actual story. Maybe that's what they're talking about. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But yes, the other big question mark, and I'm very curious as to the reception of the fan base. I mean, one thing that I can honestly tell people is I love when old shows like this come back. I mentioned that with some people about Devil's a Part-Timer. I like this idea that a show that's like 12 years out gets another anime. It kind of pulls people back in. And granted, this one, its movie was in like 2010. So it's like 12 years out since something Trigun. I always like the idea of these older shows coming back because it kind of draws that audience back into anime. Because they probably have fallen out of anime at some point and they go, oh wow, there's another Trigun. I want to get in here. And then they start to see other things in the anime sphere that's currently happening, and they get pulled back in, become one of us again. But I'm curious how people are gonna I don't see anybody really talking about this, which is very curious. I don't see anybody really mentioning, wait, that's Orange, that's a CGI studio. Are people gonna be okay with this being full CGI? I'm very curious about that. And I kind of think that most people don't realize that. They just see Trigun's getting another anime adaptation. They're freaking out. They're thinking, okay, my old Trigun's coming back. I'm so happy. And they're not seeing Studio Orange, or they don't know what Studio Orange is. And again, I'm not saying anything against Studio Orange. I love Land of Lustrous. I love Beastars. They're a great studio. They're doing fantastic subs with CGI. I just think the fandom as a whole, once they see that this is CGI, like once it clicks, I'm wondering how people are going to how they're going to receive that. Is it going to make people angry? That's going to be the big question mark, because I know people know what Trigun is. I just don't think people know what Orange is. They might know what Beastars is, but they don't know what Orange is. So they're not making that connection, I don't think. And once that happens, I'm very curious to see how people receive that. Me personally, I'm fine with it. I've always been kind of fine with CGI. I'm probably one of the most receptive people to CGI in the anime sphere. I find that if it's got a good story in there, I'm going to watch it. Nighthead, I love that. I loved Beastars. I loved Night Sidonia. Night Sidonia is super stiff with its animation. Ajin, I love a lot of CGI shows, and I own a lot of CGI shows. My only problem is whenever it's doing both. And Orange could technically do that. Orange could bring in a team of animators, standard 2D animators, just to handle 2D stuff. But expect this is probably going to be full CGI. And yes, they do have stuff under their belt. They're credited to shows that very little CGI, but guess what? Those are the shows that they are working with another studio. One of their other big titles they have under their belt is a show they did with Bone. So they handle the 2D stuff. Orange handles the CGI stuff. So that's basically all that we got from Orange themselves. They announced that they have Trigun Stampede. They're going to be animating it. They celebrate the fact that it's been 25 years since the first anime series aired. They state that it's going to be 2023 that this title comes out. They even specifically mention that this is going to be produced by Japan's... I don't know if I can agree with this. Japan's best 3D animation studio. I think Polygon Pictures would probably have words with you on that one, but we'll go with it. I really wonder if there's some award out there that maybe the two of them competed against and they won. That's why they're able to state that, but who knows? And like I mentioned earlier, they do have a panel that they will have at Anime Expo. They've already stated it will be on July 3rd at 8 p.m. at the JW Marriott Hotel. They also stated that they have the original author, Yasuhiro Naito, concept artist, Orange producer, as well as the Toho producer will all be there. So super crazy that they at least, have the original author that's going to be there, which is really cool. And we really didn't get anything else additionally out of Crunchyroll's press release other than stating that they got the license for it. But they did specify that they will be simulcasting the series from Japan in more than 200 countries and territories throughout the world, and clarifying that more information will be available at the Anime Expo 2022 in Los Angeles during the panel hosted by Crunchyroll on Saturday, July 2nd at 8 p.m. Pacific time. And they state that Yasuhiro and the producers will be at the show and slated to appear on stage and discuss the series and behind the scenes of the production. Panelists alongside Yasuhiro will include the designer, the producer from Orange, the producer from Toho. So really exciting stuff. So there you have it. Trigun is coming back. I hope you guys are excited. I really am curious from you guys down below. Let me know in the comment section. Are you okay with the fact that it's Orange working on this? Again, I have no problem with Orange. I'm thinking of the fandom as a whole. I feel like once people realize this is going to be full CGI stuff, I mean, Orange could have some new animation methods in the works. I don't see that because even with this short that they released during their countdown, it wasn't looking any better. I mean, it looks like standard CGI fare. So I'm really curious from you guys, is this a deal breaker? Did you know that Studio Orange was a CGI company, and does that affect your hype for Trigun now that you've gotten that clarified if you didn't know? I would love to hear from you guys. Either way, I'm excited. I cannot wait. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, if you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. Subscribe if you have not already. Share this video if you can. Support us on Patreon or throw a tips link in the description below. We also have a super thanks button down there. I would greatly appreciate your support, and y'all take care.